All right, so good morning, everybody. My name is Jay. This is the open source VR channel, and today I just kind of wanted to talk about this new transformer model that was released by NVIDIA, their DLSS version 4.5 transformer model, and I think it's been revolutionary. I think it's going to be groundbreaking, and the next upgrades and iterations to this model is going to be potentially game changing for flight simulation. So I kind of want to dive into it early and get you on the move and get you everything that you need to jump into the system and get moving. So we already know that ghosting and shimmer, things like motion blur and artifacting, they've haunted us in Microsoft Flight Simulator for many years now at this point. But this new transformer model might have finally been the fix that we needed all along. The thing that might have pulled everything together for us VR users specifically, right? So I've spent the last day or two now putting together this video and then testing out the new transformer model in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I think this really is it. And I wanted to put together a quick video showing how to install it and then showing some scenes from real world usage. So I recorded some videos while I was flying, and I'm going to put that together in this video as well to show you how it actually functions and look in the real world. And then I took some comparison videos as well to see if we can spot any differences, especially when it comes to the artifacting. So this video kind of assumes that you already have a little bit of background information in DLSS and using DLSS in Flight Simulator and virtual reality. I think is almost like a necessity at this point. If you want to enjoy both clarity and performance, most people go for DLSS if they don't have things like the highest end graphics cards, which I don't. I have a 4080, which is up there, but it's not the highest end graphics card. But it allows us to squeeze out a little bit more performance by rendering the sim at a lower resolution and then upscale it using, machine learning algorithms from NVIDIA. So I won't go over every single detail about DLSS, and I kind of assume that you already have it, but I wanted to show you the most efficient way to install it without having to install like the NVIDIA app and all this stuff. So we have our best friend DLSS swapper, and we've been using that for months now. The latest version for DLSS swapper will be necessary, and I'll show you how to install that. But we just jumped over from V310.4 to V310.5, and this has taken us about almost 4 or 5 months or so now since the last DLSS transformer model was updated. This current one right now is still in testing, is my understanding. It's about to be released in a couple days in a new NVIDIA driver suite, but I think right now it's still in testing. So use at your own risk. But if you have previous in knowledge with upgrading your DLSS manually, then this might be something that you might be interested in, and it might be something that you can possibly do on your own. So what exactly is DLSS 4.5? This is basically one of the second generation transformer models. So NVIDIA has continuously updated their DLSS transformer models, both targeting ghosting because the processing that it takes to upscale the imaging introduces a little bit of ghosting at times whenever you have rapid motion in a scene, for example. They've improved ghosting, they've improved performance, and they've improved things like clarity. So I remember I made an old video a long time ago where I was testing, I think it was DLSS 4 when it had just first come out, or I was testing DLSS 3 or something like that when it had first come out. And we're still doing that stuff to this day because every single time they've made improvements to the clarity, performance, and things like artifacting. Something else to note is that there are videos that will show you how to install the DLSS 4.5 using the NVIDIA app, but I tend to avoid the NVIDIA app as much as possible. I'm actually extremely against using it just because I feel like it adds another layer of monitoring and overlays and interruptions that could cause stutters and lag in VR. I'm sure it doesn't really affect it that much, but the less is more when it comes to to virtual reality and having other programs intervene. So I tend to not run the NVIDIA app at all. And so I wanted to show you how I set up DLSS 4.5 without using the NVIDIA app, because you don't want anything else intruding on your flight simulator experience, especially when you're in virtual reality and having all these stutters and micro stutters and all this stuff. So I use just DLSS swapper, and that's how we'll do it. Okay, so let's go. So I've been perusing the internet pretty much every single day now. So since this has been released, trying to keep up with the discourse about what settings are preferable, how is it running in certain games, and how is it used in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I put all this information together into this video, and we're going to see how it works in our simulator. But all these data and all this information will be present in the video description as well, so you can follow up on. Okay, so the big programs that you need will be an updated NVIDIA driver. So you'll need the latest NVIDIA driver 59 or 591.74. That is the latest one available as of today, January 10th, while I'm recording this video. You'll also need the DLSS swapper app as well. And that really should be the only two things that you need at this point. And also I want you to have Microsoft Flight Simulator as well, of course. But that goes without saying. Additionally, you could also use a couple different tools that I'll show you to, and I'll also link you to in the description below, for how you could install a clean, lean version of your NVIDIA drivers to make sure that all this goes on without any other intervening software being installed, like the NVIDIA app, because you don't need it to use this transformer, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the first thing that we kind of want to make sure that we have is the most recent NVIDIA drivers that were just recently released. So I've included the link to head to that website to download the drivers, but this is where you go. You will download this driver. It's about 900 megabytes. And then this is the one that we just downloaded. I want you to go ahead and install that. Run through the installation process. Do everything that you need to do to get this installed. But I also want to show you that there's a method to install this without the bloatware that's associated with the NVIDIA driver, and that's by using this program called NV Clean Install. So when you have NV Clean installed, what you can do is you can actually select the NVIDIA driver that you want to install. So for example, this is the one that we downloaded over here. To hit this button, you could go through next, and then you can debloat your entire NVIDIA driver installation to just the things that you need. Like, there was some discussion basically in Microsoft Flight Simulator about HD audio, for example, causing crackles and audio issues in Microsoft Flight Simulator and introducing micro stutters. So you can disable these things from the jump, even before you start installing the driver itself. So this is the next application that I want you to install. It's called DLSS Swapper. You might already have this if you've manually updated your DLSS transformers or tried to set another preset. This is another great tool. Go ahead and download this and install the latest version. Make sure you have the latest version, because we'll need it. This was last updated on the 6th of January. It's now the 10th, so it's been out for just a few days, and it is compatible with the new GeForce NVIDIA game-ready drivers that you just installed. And it also is compatible with the latest releases of DLSS 4.5. If you don't install this version of DLSS Swapper, or if you don't update your previous version of DLSS Swapper, you won't be able to install DLSS 4.5. It won't be an option for you to select on there. If you don't install the driver, 591.74, you won't be able to install 4.5, or sorry, you will be able to install 4.5, but your driver won't use it. So there are a couple people that are on older NVIDIA drivers that are not getting the full potential of 4.5 because they're actually stuck using older presets because their driver is not up to date. So the DLSS swapper needs to be updated, your driver needs to be updated as well. And then I think that's it. Right. So let's jump into what the settings look like. And one last piece of information that I would like you all to know is that you might, if you need to install DLSS Swappo, the latest version of DLSS Swappo, upgrade versions of DLSS Swappo, that is possible by going down here. So all the way to the left-hand side on the settings button, hit that, scroll all the way down here, and you can hit the check for updates button. Mine won't update because I already have the latest version installed, but the latest version currently is 1.2.3.1. And that was on the 6th of January. Check again if it's after this version, you should be fine, but 1.2.3.1 is necessary to update via DLSS Swapper without using the NVIDIA app. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is open up DLSS Swapper, the latest version, and go ahead and find your Microsoft Flight Simulator app, right? So this is my Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 app. Let me move this camera out of the way. And you'll go ahead and choose the appropriate version of DLSS that you want to use, right? So in the DLSS section here, make sure all this is correct, by the way. But in the DLSS section right here, you will want to choose 310.5 in order to enable the 4.5 features of DLSS. So go ahead and hit this. It's going to ask you and prompt you to download that version. Go ahead and download it, and then make sure that the current DLL version here matches the one that you have selected. Okay, so the original DLLL, or the one that Microsoft came with, the original DLSS DLL file that Microsoft 2024 comes with is 310.1. We're now on 310.5. So just confirm that the current DLL is set to 310.5. Okay. If all went correctly, you should be able to select, let me back up one more time. I just want to say you should be restarting apps and restarting, your computer after all these installations. If you want to do one last restart after installing the latest version of DLSS, for example, go right ahead and do that. But make sure you have these apps restarted at least one time so that the changes that you've made by updating is refreshed in the user interface and everything is syncing up and talking to each other. So this DLSS preset right here, go ahead and if everything went well, you should be able to select these new two presets, preset L and preset M. Preset K was the last one that we were using on 310.1. It's still available for you to use it, but I think it's using the same technology as the previous DLSS model. This right here is preset M and preset L, which I guess we can go over the benefits or the uses of each preset model in here based off of what I've been able to find on the internet so far. So make sure this is set here, preset M. And then one last thing that you can do to confirm that all this is working is to enable a little overlay on the screen that will tell you your current version of DLSS. Okay, so if you go down here again to the settings and you come down to show on-screen indicator, so DLSS developer options, show on-screen indicator. If you hit enabled for all DLSS DLLs, you will be seeing if your DLSS is available and what preset you're using in a little indication on the bottom left side of your screen. I'll try to include a video that shows what that looks like. But switch this to enabled for all DLSS DLLs, and this will show you what transformer model and what preset is active in your game. All games including Flight Sim 2024. So I'll show you a snippet of what that looks like. Now, in terms of presets, I will leave this up to you, but I've been doing some testing on my end of all the different presets that are available to us, including older presets as well, and seeing how they stack up to the newest presets released in DLSS 4.5, and here are my quick conclusions. So I tested the last 4 presets, and this is what I personally use now, right? So I tested the J preset, and this is probably the least recommended preset that I could give you. It doesn't utilize a new transformer model, and this is some of the older technology that we had. The best way I could summarize this is by saying it gives you more flickering but less ghosting. So less ghosting on like screens, but more flickering. Performance is good on this one, even at like balance, but you have more flickering and less ghosting. It's less resource intensive because it's an older model. The model preset K is the one that I've been using the most, right? And I've actually made most of my YouTube videos on K in the past. The thing is, it doesn't use the new transformer model, and I wanted to test the new transformer models. It's the whole reason I'm making this video. So I'm not using K anymore, but I used to use K on DLAE, or I used to use K on quality mode or balance mode if I'm at like performance heavy airport, right? So it had less shimmering and less artifacting in virtual reality, but it was blurrier on the screen, and I could definitely notice that, right? So the screens were more blurry, and anything that's more faster pace would be more blurry. But it was less flickering, less ghosting, less artifacting, but high motion or high motion intensity things would be a lot more blurrier on preset K. I tested L, and my understanding from what I've read online is that L, and based off what NVIDIA has said as well, L uses this was supposed to be ultra performance. On L mode, you want to be in ultra performance on your DLSS quality. It does a lot more upscaling. It introduces a lot more upscaling technology for a lower quality base resolution, if that makes sense. So in the ultra performance mode, your base resolution is the lowest it could possibly get to, which I think is down to, I want to say 33%, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'm not sure if ultra performance is 33% or performance is 33%. But anyway, it takes a very low base resolution, and it tries its hardest to upscale that to your native resolution and also to the resolution in your headset. So it takes an ultra low resolution and tries to upscale that, using as much technology as it can, as much machine learning as it can, to upscale it to your native quality. And because it uses so much performance, so much calculations to upscale it, your best bet is to use this in ultra performance mode, and that will give you the lowest base resolution, the lowest amount of processing native on to the base resolution. And then the transformer model will try to upscale all that using its machine learning. So it's resource intensive, but you balance that resource intensivity with a lower base resolution so that you land somewhere in the middle of resource usage. So that will be best used for ultra performance mode, right? The M mode, which I've started using, has been the best for me for using it on DLSS performance mode, right? So using DLSS performance mode, medium mode, or quality mode, I haven't really seen much benefit from going up above performance mode, to be honest with you. And this is how good we've gotten with DLSS, all right? So performance at this time, performance mode on DLSS and Microsoft Flight Simulator has given me the best balance in virtual reality in the 4080, right? So it doesn't use as much machine learning to upscale the image, but it looks better because the base resolution is not that low. It doesn't need as much resource usage, and it still delivers a very beautiful picture. The performance, the trade-off with using the L preset is that the base resolution is so low that you will notice that degradation in quality in things like the screens, right? For example, on the earliners, the screens will be a little bit less crisp. They'll be a little bit more blurry when you use the L preset. So I recommend just using the M preset on the latest transformer. So if everything went well, when you open your flight simulator and you hit the continue button, so you can see down here, you can see render preset mine is set to M at this time. And then my DLSS mode is set to 310.5, which is what we want. And this is how you can confirm which preset you're using and which DLSS version you're using as well. And if these don't match up, go back and just see if you missed a step. To install the latest NVIDIA drivers, then install the latest DLSS swapper utility, most up-to-date version, or restart your apps or your computer altogether. And then you should be met with this indicator right here. So you can see I set mine to preset M and we are up to date on it. So let's continue. So let's get down to the meat of the matter. Probably what you want to know most about this is how does it actually look in the simulator and what are some things that I noticed. Well, I'll keep the rest of the video short so you can stop it here. But if you want to see me use it in the simulator, I've included some video footage of my last flight leaving New Orleans after this section. But here's what I've noticed, right? I've noticed a subjective reduction in the amount of ghosting. So numbers and digits on glass cockpit screens, they don't ghost or blur as much. They're easily readable and they're crisp, right? Shimmer or artifacting, that some people will call it. So shimmering, you'll see it on places like trees, tree lines. You'll see it in places like fences. You'll see it on places like cloud edges. You'll see it around the horizon. You know those little black lines that you get in the ocean? I know you know what I'm talking about. Those black lines in the ocean, those look a little bit better. Don't look, perfect. They're still there. That's a limitation of the sim itself, but less artifacting noticeable there. And then the sharpness is incredible. It's natural. It doesn't seem overdone. You don't see jaggies. You don't see jagged edges. You're not seeing too much shimmering in the sim or distractions in the sim, which is so important in virtual reality. In terms of performance, I'm getting around the same performance as I was because I was running preset K up at quality and even DLAA levels without downscaling it when I can, like in VR flying, so GA flying, for example. So I'm noticing about the same performance because now I'm down to performance mode. It's about the same performance, if not better. Actually, way better than running DLAA and about as good as running balanced mode in preset K. So preset M on performance for me is about better than running preset K on balanced or quality mode, which I think that makes sense. The lower base resolution with better upscaling, less ghosting, less artifacting, I think is a no-brainer for us to try to start with preset M and then experiment from there. I think preset M is going to be my default or my go-to on a 4080, right? So your experience might be a little bit different, if you have an older series graphics card. And I've seen some anecdotal data from the forums that say that people are experiencing much greater performance impact using a lower series graphics card because, and it makes sense, it's resource intensive to upscale these videos, and I think the later generation cards handle it a little bit better. They have some architecture in place to handle that a little bit better. But stay tuned. Maybe the full release and then subsequent versions after that might be a little bit better for the lower series cards. And I hope those improvements also come over to the higher series cards, because in virtual reality, of course, you can never have too much performance. That's just not a thing. So I'll just put some videos of my last flight so you can see some real world usage or real situation, real simulator usage or virtual simulation usage, I guess. And we'll see where that goes. In terms of my simulator performance settings in sim, this is what I've been using in my personal setup. It might not work for everybody. There's a lot of variables in here that do not work for people, but this works best for me using this new transformer and this new preset. So you of course have to set the anti-aliasing to DLSS super resolution, and then you have to set this NVIDIA DLSS super resolution to level that you want. For me, it's going to be the performance mode. We talked about that exhaustively on this video. So I use the performance mode in the latest preset. And then I don't personally use foveated rendering just because I can notice the jagginess in the periphery, especially in the clouds. And I keep my AMD fidelity sharpening to 100%. This is subjective difference per person to person, and I will change this on the fly. I'm very quick to just change this, just on the fly. If I just get even a little bit annoyed at dragness. So this is not a static number, and it's not gold. Use your own judgment here. I don't have a max sim rate set here because I limit my sim in the NVIDIA app, I want to say. And then I use depth reprojection mode. I think subjectively, this makes the sim smoother to me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I don't use the in-head reprojection offered by Pimax because it's just not there yet compared to things like the Quest, Automatic Quest, that the reprojection in that thing is banging spot on. But I use depth here in sim and I can see a change, and it's always been a little bit smoother to me, and I'm wondering if that's just one of those subjective things where some people experience things one way and other people's don't. But I use a depth reprojection mode and it makes things a little bit smoother in virtual reality if you could achieve a constant frame rate. That's the caveat. You have to achieve a constant frame rate. So I keep mine on depth. The depth and motion setting, I don't think it does anything because whenever you switch it on, it will often just default back to depth. So I just keep it on depth. World scale doesn't work in 2024. It's set to 100 here. You can change it to 110 and it will change in the headset, but it'll just jump right back down to 100. I keep a reflex low latency to on. I find that going to ultra on my setup introduces a little bit of micro stutters, but that's just for me. Jumping back to the world scale feature, it doesn't work in the sim, but if you use the OpenXR toolkit, you can actually change the world scale. You can change the scale in the XR toolkit, in the OpenXR toolkit. So that's just a little hack. So I keep mine at 100, which I guess is 1 times scale, but I would actually prefer it to be a little bit bigger. It looks a little bit better whenever you have a little bit larger scale in my headset, the way that my headset is set up. But it defaults to 100. So that's it for in terms of settings. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Should you use it? Should you download it? I would personally say this has been the biggest jump in clarity and comfort and anti-artifacting and anti-ghosting that I've noticed in the simulator in virtual reality since the release of the latest models of DLSS. This has been a big jump. I've never felt so comfortable in the simulator without being annoyed by artifacts and distractors, right? So this and distractions. Sorry, this is pretty much it. I'd be happy if this is where we stay. I wasn't gonna upgrade to this because I recently locked in all my settings on Flight Simulator, and I told myself that I was just going to be satisfied with where we're at right now. And I would keep it like that until, the next big thing happened. And a couple of days later, the next big thing happened. And everybody was talking about DLSS 4.5. So I bit the bullet and I jumped in the DLSS 4.5 a couple a couple of days ago, and I finally started testing it rigorously last night. I put together this video today. Okay, so if this helped you at all, I would appreciate just a like. My channel has been dormant for a long time, kind of fell off the scene. I've been making videos for, I'd say like about the 30. I've been making videos almost like 2 decades now. You can scroll back, you can look at my old channel, you can look at this channel, you can see videos that go back decades, right? And I started leaning back into it, finding the passion behind doing this again. And it has just reinvigorated my interest for the sim. So I really appreciate a like if this helps you. Follow along. I'll keep you updated with any big changes. If you can, leave comments saying what GPU you're using, what setup you're using, what settings you're using. Do you have any other recommendations for me? Do you have anything that I might have missed in this video that you'd like future viewers to take note of? Anything that you have personal expertise in that you'd like to add on to this video? I would really appreciate that. To all 10 people that watch this video, I really appreciate that. So stay up to date if you can. And I'm looking forward to more virtual reality videos with you all in the future. I really do appreciate your time, and have a great day.